Hello, Munchkins and their mommies and daddies. This is your friend Akhil Dua. Welcome to another episode of Pittu, Things They Don't Teach You in School. Today we talk about food, meal times, and screen times. My guest is Priya, a certified family life coach and a respectful parenting enthusiast. Enjoy.
I'm Godahari Priya. I'm a family life coach. What I do is I talk to parents, help parents raising their toddlers with a lot of respect and compassion. So I come from a place where, I believe that we can raise children without raising our voices. So that is the core belief. And then I conduct sessions, parenting sessions, where we talk about handling tantrums. We discuss about screen times, meal times, and anything that comes up between how it is raising toddlers. So that's what I do. That's the line of work. And family life coach is a tag which I got because of a certification, but what I actually identify myself is as a child advocate. I like to call myself as somebody who stands up for these young children, who to be a voice for them, which they really can't do it for themselves.
What types of sugars are good for them? Should we introduce it to them? How early? How late? And obviously, there's foods that have natural sugar like fruits. So are those okay?
Okay, so the research says that till 1 year of age, we do not introduce any form of sugar to the child, any form, absolutely in any form. We all know how sugar actually is. It's something. It's an unnecessary evil, is what I would call it. So the practice at our home is that we do not introduce direct sugar at all. In no form. If it's part of a sweet, a part of a savory, then once in a while it's okay, but otherwise we do not include sugar to any drink, to any juices, nothing of that sort. So it's not a food that we indulge in at home. Why is it? Because as it is, children are getting a lot of sugar in the food that they eat, meaning fruits. It's just basically sugar is just glucose, so they get that even from normal food. When it breaks down the carbs, it gets converted to glucose only. So it's not necessary to introduce sugar in any form. We have a strict policy at home about sugar because it it creates a lot of havoc in their small brain, meaning they get a lot of energy and then they don't know how to expend it. Even we keep the sugary treats to a minimum. The maximum, we would once in a while indulge in payasam, which is a sweet treat that we have in South India, a kheer kind of a thing. But other than that, a sweet here and there, homemade sweets are okay. We are not too much into chocolates or pastries or of that sort, because it does contain a lot of sugar, and a lot of sugar in a child's system means it's it's difficult for them to expend that energy. And after 6 p.m. we have a strict rule about sweets, that no sugary treats absolutely after 5:36 in the evening.
Okay, so even when you are indulging them with a savory sweet once in a while, you also have a time restriction so that it doesn't interfere with their sleep or their routine.
Definitely, because after 6, when there is some form of sweets given, I always see the relationship with the sleep getting delayed. He wants to play for longer. He just has a lot of energy, and then there's a lot of screaming, climbing, just throwing himself out there. You know how it is, and those flashes of energy come for them. So that is one interesting thing. Another interesting thing the research says is that when we start introducing solid food for our children, they ask us to keep even fruits to a minimum, because it creates a tendency in children to prefer sweet food when they grow up. Okay, so when we start introducing solids, we prefer more veggies than fruits.
Right.
Okay, because in itself it's very sweet. So when as children grow up, we do not want them to have something we call a sweet tooth, like how we all suffer now as adults. We don't want that for them. We want them to be not craving sugar or not being addicted to sugar. So it's preferred that we start off with veggies, and after a year and a half, we prefer giving them fruits also. So,
now you speak and you write and speak very passionately about toddlers self-feeding themselves from a very early age. I almost feel like I'm a little late to getting to know you. I wish I had met you maybe a year ago, because now my child is 2 years old, and it is a constant circus for the mother to run behind him, and with a plate in the hand, and we almost have to bribe him with screen time to for him to have his lunch or dinner. Um, is it too late? Is there anything that we can do to fix it? And what advice would you give for parents who still have that time?
So never is too late. Okay, that is something that I want all parents to do. When you start from tomorrow, they pick up. It's just a skill that children learn, like driving. We can
Yeah.
learn at any age. And why am I so chill about it? Why am I so passionate about it? Is because hunger is common for all human beings, and hunger is what drives us to eat. So there
Yes.
is no way a human being is going to starve themselves to reject food like that and go
Yeah.
into severe deficiency. So in an economic setup like how where we are, I think we should be more worried about our children being obese more than our children being malnutrition, because
Yeah.
that's the amount of surplus food that is available for us. So
Right.
is running behind the child, forcing the child to eat, all that is coming from the face of a parent, and it comes from a deep fear within us. What if my child doesn't grow properly? What if there's not enough nutrition? All that.
Yeah.
So if we have more understanding and more trust in our child that they are very capable of choosing the quantity when they want to eat, when they're hungry, I think everything will fall into place. What is very interesting to notice is that a child, from the time of birth till 6 months of age, when a child is being breastfed, a child who was very, very capable of deciding how much breast milk to take, when to take it, in what interval to take it, a child who had that much knowledge, how is it possible for a child to suddenly lose it after,
Yeah.
6 months of age?
Yes.
So that's where my trust is on. My child knew till he was intelligent enough to
Yeah.
know so much about his own appetite and his needs.
Yeah.
So we just continued following his cue even after 6 months, and
Okay.
it's been working out beautifully. What do we do from tomorrow is that we all sit together as a family. The adults sit together. We give the child a plate. We leave the plate for them. We invite them to have a meal with us. We let them explore food. So initially, for the first few days, there is not going to be much eating happening because they're so fascinated with the idea that they can eat alone. Oh my God, I've grown up suddenly and all that. But after a few meals, I think their stomach will start directing how much they should eat.
Yeah.
And an important point to note is that they will only be able to eat half the quantity of what they have been eating, because they have been force fed, distraction fed, which means the quantity is always exaggerated when we feed them. When
Yes.
they start eating on their own is when they realize, okay, I can stop, I don't need so much food. And the more we force or distraction feed them, in fact we are I would say hindering their growth in some way, because now the body, the system has to digest something that it didn't want in the first place.
Yeah.
So let's say we wanted 10 units of food, and somehow we have been fed 20 units. Now the stomach is going to tell me, oh my God, now what? I need to spend more energy to digest this extra 10 units of food. Why are you, forcing this on me? I could have used this energy to learn new things, to explore, to play. Yeah. So
Go
my
to
beliefs
go
come
to
from.
bed right after that, maybe in a few minutes after that. So the body can't even is not even up and running to do that digestion properly.
And there is a huge misconception that children sleep well if their tummy is full.
Yes.
Okay, so the common sense question here is, when you are trying to sleep, okay, your nervous system is trying to shut down, but your digestive system is pushing your nervous system to stay awake because it still has work to do,
Correct.
because the tummy is full. So there's a conflict going on, and you can see children whose tummies are full just before bed actually have a very disturbed sleep. They keep rolling around, they keep twisting, turning. They don't go into deep sleep at all.
What have you advised parents who struggle with kids' dependency on screen?
Okay, so what you spoke about is one part of the problem. But the general problem is distraction feeding. Okay, so I per se do not have a huge problem with screens. I have a problem with distraction itself, which means it could be books, it could be water play, it could be taking them out and showing them things. Anything that takes the child's senses away from food is distraction, according to me. Any religion that you follow, and all our roots go back to a place which says that when we eat, all our five senses should be in tune with the food that we eat.
Yeah.
Meaning you should see the food, you should smell the food, you should taste the food, you should feel it in your hands, and you should hear the crunching sound, the eating sound. Yeah, so that's a whole process when we eat. Okay, but when we distract and eat, it means that we are not nourishing our body. We are actually creating a burden for the body to digest, because it doesn't even know what to do with that, all that gloop that we put inside.
Right.
Okay, because it doesn't recognize it as food, because the senses didn't perceive it at all. So
Yeah.
this is my huge problem with distraction feeding a child. It can come in any form. Okay, so that is one. The next thing is, as they grow older, their relationship with food will be really in question.
Yeah.
Because they don't see the food that they're eating. They don't get to know their food. There is no relationship. So then if their relationship with food is in question, the relationship with your body is in a big question now. So either you're too obese, or you're too lean, or you are very critical about your own body. You do not appreciate your body enough. So it creates a lot of body image issues later on in life. And from a place where today we are, okay, now give me some distraction so I can eat. We are in that space now. When they grow older, it becomes, okay, I'm distracted, give me something to eat. So distraction could become a reason to start eating. Yeah. So like how we all go to the movies and we are not even hungry, but we can finish a tub of popcorn. Totally unhealthy. Yeah. So
goes off that I'm
it could go to,
so I should have something else. Okay.
Yep. I would say don't eat. It's okay. You're not hungry, so don't eat.
Yeah.
A child who's hungry will not need any form of distraction to eat, because they're hungry.
Yeah.
Even as adults, when we're really hungry, we don't care about, too many things to distract ourselves. We just dive into the food and relish the food and eat it. We need to be that hungry. So I say the biggest problem today is that we are giving our children too much food. Okay, more food than their bodies need. So they never feel a sense of hunger at all. Okay, because constantly the role of a parent today is to make sure that the child is fed. So we are feeding them 3 meals, 2 snacks, and so many things in between that they don't feel hunger at all. So I think the core problem starts there, that the child doesn't feel hungry in our economical setup. So if a child is hungry, there is definitely no need for them to be distracted.
What are you recommending your clients, and what are you recommending your friends, and what are you doing yourself to kind of keep the sanity and not have kids gain weight? I don't have a problem with kids gaining weight if it's a natural thing that comes. But like I was telling you earlier, a friend of mine whose daughter is gaining weight and not exercising, and she's worried. She's like, my God, what if she keeps adding weight and she's not exercising at all? What should she do?
Okay, so now this is a very tricky question, because there are so many facets to this. We would worry about weight gain only at an age which is above 7-8 years. Till then, we're not really bothered. We're okay with children being the way they are, because we think as young children, a chubby child is a healthy child. But if the same child, if suddenly they cross one particular age, we're like, oh my God, that's unhealthy. Okay, we have double standards as parents. We're very hypocritical like that. Yeah, okay. So the complications in this question is that there are so many underlying factors about the relationship the child has with food, the relationship the child has with their own body, the relationship the parent has with food, and the relationship the parent has with their own bodies. So child is just reflecting that. When we are worried that my child is not exercising, the question is, what are we doing? What kind of a role model are we? What is the conversation around food at home?
Yes.
Okay, how did we gain weight in the first place during lockdown? Okay, were we binge eating? Were we overeating? What were we talking about food? Around the house. Okay, is food used as an emotion? Is food used as a form of celebration? So many questions for the parent to explore. Why I say this is because there is really no point in pushing a child to work out, exercise. because the moment we turn our backs, they just do what they want to do. Okay, because we all know this is something which is very, very intrinsic, especially to work out, to stay fit is something that comes from within. Otherwise, it's just going to be there for a fancy 4 5 days, and then we'll all go back to being our old selves.
Yeah.
So, till the child realizes the need to be healthy,
Yeah.
not lean or to look a particular way, but just to realize that exercise is as important as good nutrition, and rest is as important as good exercise. So once the child understands all these things, I think they will be on track. But for that to happen, the start should be from the parent. We should be the role models.
Yeah.
We should have conversations around not a good looking body or somebody who's slim and lean, but around health and practices that we follow, lifestyle changes that we can inculcate.
Initially, when we got connected, we were speaking about the fact that you don't have any child specific food that you make. Can you speak a little bit about
Yes,
that?
yes. Till 1 year of age, his food didn't have salt or sugar. Honey and milk was, these four things were uh, avoided for him. Research says so that children till 1 year of age should avoid salt, sugar, honey, and milk, cow's milk. Okay, so except that, the first year was when we started taking out batches for him without salt, and we used to just remove it and then add salt for our food, so we could all sit and eat together. So that was what was happening till 1 year, and then after that, gradually we just started letting him explore the food that we made at home. Okay, so it's just like that, it just works like that.
Salt levels, the same spice level, the same levels.
Yep. Yeah. So chili powder was not something that I was comfortable exposing my child very early, but we made sure that he was exposed to other spices like pepper, cumin, coriander. All the other spices were just the same. Just the chili powder was a little restricted, and we as a family also felt for our own health also it was not really needed. Like you said, the policing just took over, and we started questioning a lot of our beliefs also. So even we as a family shifted more to pepper than to chili powder. So that was the only one huge change that we had to make, and I felt it was a healthy change to make. But apart from that, if there is something on the menu that my child doesn't like, he eats a little lesser than he usually would eat, meaning he would eat for his hunger and then he would say, I'm done. And we wouldn't force him. And after a few hours, when it's time for his snack, he will make sure that he has a bigger snack than he usually does. So that's how it works. And if he skips a meal for some reason, like he is not hungry or he is not, he doesn't feel like eating at that time, what we do is there is a time frame in all families. I believe that there is a time frame in which lunch is available, in which breakfast is available, in which dinner. After that time, we clear the table and we go on to the next meal. So that's what we also used to do till that particular time. If he wanted to eat, lunch was available on the table. After that, there wouldn't be lunch, so then there would be a snack. So if he's hungry, then he would have to wait for some time and then wait for the snack, and then he would have it. I believe that a little hunger is not going to be very harmful for the child. In fact, it will make him relish the next meal a little more, and it will improve his absorption, nutrient absorption, a lot more if he's hungry. On a concluding note, I would say that meal times are not meant to be like how they are today. Okay, meal times are meant to be a time of celebration, a time of coming together for families, a time of connection for families where uh, we come together, we sit, we enjoy food, we are thankful, we're grateful for the food that is there on our plate. Okay, so this is and how an ideal mealtime should be, where all members of the family, no matter the age, are part of the circle that we form during at least for one meal. We sit together, we enjoy the meal, we relish the food, we have some deep conversations around what is happening in the family. Okay, so that we go back really nourished. That's the idea of having food, to be nourished.
Thank you so much for making the time, and thank you for sharing your knowledge.